Good evening, good people. Once again, let me take this opportunity to welcome you back to this session. My name is Evans Rabare, and I will be your lead trainer for today. With me is my colleague, Joy Atieno. She's going to be on the chat box, so feel free to engage her and also ask as many questions as possible. So just take a few minutes just to familiarize yourself with the chat box. And also we are here for you just in case you need our assistance. All right. So today we're going to look at staying productive online. And I'd really love to know where you guys are joining us from. Just take a few minutes and just type where you guys are joining us from. And I will pause for a moment just to read out the names and acknowledge you. So just let us know where you're joining us from. We'll be really happy to connect with you wherever you are. All right, as I'm waiting for you guys to just let us know where you guys are joining us from. So as we're proceeding, we want to look at staying productive online. So under this training, we have three broad agendas. We are going to start by looking at how to set up your remote office. So we're going to see the difference between an office, like the normal setup of an office and the remote office. Thereafter, we are going to look at how to build a productive work environment. So if you've decided to set up your remote office at home, we are going to look at how you can make your home very friendly so that you don't get distracted. And then finally, we're going to finish by looking at how to manage and maintain your well-being. So good health is equivalent to productivity. So we need to ensure that you are in good health, you are in good status for you to produce maximally. That is why now your well-being is very important. All right, and this one brings me to my very first question, which is, how has COVID-19 pandemic impacted your role? Let me know, how has COVID-19 impacted your role? During this COVID pandemic period, we've had people losing their job. We've had people being declared redundant. We've had people just, not getting promoted. So, and also we've had people not really going to work to the normal office. So if the COVID has affected you going to the office, how have you been operating? I would really love to know what you guys are saying on the chat box. So how has COVID-19 impacted your role? So if you used to be a receptionist or office assistant, how has COVID impacted that role? If you used to be a team leader, how has COVID impacted that role? If you used to be a freelancer, how has COVID impacted that role? I really love to hear what you guys are talking about, what you guys are saying on the chat box, and I'll take a few minutes just to read them. All right. Let's look at our very first agenda, which is setting up your remote office. What do we mean by a remote office? What do we mean by a remote office? So a remote work is a working style that allows professionals to work outside a traditional office environment. When you're talking about remote working, we are not talking about the normal office setup where you're required to travel from one place to another to go to work. You're not required to set up like the normal office. So remote working, you can decide to have just to set a place within your house, or you can decide to go to work within a cafe, or you can decide to go just anywhere that you feel comfortable. That is remote working. So the difference is it allows you, it gives you more flexibility in terms of what you do. And it also, if you're working from home, it gives you the time to spend a lot of time with your family members. So remote working is based on the concept that work does not need to be done in a specific place to be executed successfully. So our African mindset has been that somebody needs to go to the office for him or her to successfully execute her duty. That is slowly changing. And in fact, COVID has just made it to progress further. So we are going to look at, so while having the ability to work from outside a corporate office, it has, so it's becoming like a major thing, people just working from home. You find that even managers, they don't stay in the office 24/7 or maybe 7 days a week. You might find days where they're working, but they're working from home. And that gives them time to work on so many tasks. So let us look at where can people work remotely? Where can people work remotely? So as I've just mentioned, you can set up a place within your home. And this one is going to give you more flexibility with your home. So when you're setting up a remote workplace within your home, find a place that is free of disturbance. Find a place that is not too much comfortable, that might make you to fall asleep. Find a place that you will be comfortable enough just to perform your roles. So that doesn't mean you have to, and of course also working from home means you'll have to spend some money to buy some of the right chairs for you. We're going to look at that. So let's look at if you are working from coffee shops. So working in a public spaces like coffee shops, cafes, bars, and restaurants they often boost productivity. So that is why now in most of the hotels they do provide strong internet connectivity, because they know that we have people coming to their hotels to work. And because the hotels provide conducive environment for them, people are able to work without any disturbance. Let's look at, you can also decide to just share a co-working space. So co-working spaces are a great option for freelancers and remote workers. But be wary that the fee for a dedicated desk can be costly. So even if you're sharing a space, you'll have to invest in some equipment such as chairs, maybe desktops if there is need, internet if there is need. Some people also prefer to work in the library. So if you don't need to make phone calls, libraries are great places to work to get work done. And nowadays, libraries have been furnished with strong internet for those who use the library. Let me know, for those of you who've gone to the Kenyan libraries, do they have strong internet? Are you guys able to work, to connect to that internet and work without disturbance? Let me know. And also, if you have people joining outside Kenya, for instance, in your respective countries, do you have libraries that have strong internet connectivity, and you're able to do your work without any disturbance? Let me know. So apart from home, coffee shop, workspace, and library, we have other places you can set up a remote workplace. So long as the place is very conducive for you. Let me know on the chat box some of the places that we've not mentioned. I'd really love to just go through them. All right. So we want to look at what do you need to work remotely? What do you need to work remotely? Just let me know in the chat box, what do we need to work remotely? What do you guys need to work remotely? What do you need to work remotely? I'd really love to hear from John. John, you've been working remotely. What are some of the resources or the devices that you've been having to enable you work effectively? I'd really love to know. All right, as John writes, puts down some of the devices that he has gathered, I want to name a few. So if you're working remotely, you need to have a dedicated workspace, a space to separate from home. So within your home, you need to look for a place. So if you're in a home, or if you're in a home where we have several rooms, you can dedicate one room for like as a working space. Or if you have a room, make sure you just dedicate a place that you really find conducive for you to work. And make sure that the couch that you have is not that very much comfortable for you that you might doze off and forget that you are working. So you need a dedicated workspace. It could be your garden if you have a nice garden. And also, let's look at some of the devices that you might need. So this is the technology. So when you're talking about device, you're talking about the technology you'll need to do your work. So for instance, here I am speaking to you guys through Meet, and guys are able to just interact with us through YouTube. So for me to have set up this, I needed a laptop. I needed my phone with me. My phone is here with me. And of course, I needed like a piece of paper where I can write. So also this one has to be with me wherever I am. And of course, internet connection. And also we need power. You see power. So these are very crucial. And in case the electricity goes off, there is a generator. So these are some of the very important devices that you need to have with you for you to be able to effectively work remotely. Let's look at internet. So a stable internet connections is very important for you to work effectively. So work today is increasingly coming collaborative. So you may need to rely on internet connection to send, receive files, work on live files, and communicate with your files. You communicate with the team. So right now, as I'm doing the training, I'm able to communicate with Joy. So I'm here in Ethiopia. Joy, she's in Uganda, and John is in Kenya, and some other people are in different regions, but we are able to communicate. So right now, if there is an issue, Joy, she's able to just put it down, and I'll be able to see if there is an issue with the training that you're doing. So that is how live docs are very important. So we're going to see when you're talking about internet, you need to look for reliable internet service providers, and if possible, you need to have an alternative. So right now, if the internet I'm using goes off, I will go to my phone and tether. And it is my hope that when I'm tethering, the bandwidth will be enough just to carry me through. All right. So let's look at just creating your own working space. We just want to look at how you can create your own working space. So Find a space inside your home where you'll feel very more productive. And of course, if you're a family person, you have to ensure that you keep the children away from you. Have seen it was CNN, for instance. So one of the CNN presenters was doing a presentation, and out just from the blue, the dog just came. Her dog came and distracted the interview. So when you're doing when you're working from home, just ensure that you keep everybody away who might really distract you. So let us look at just things that you need so that you really feel productive. So avoid the bed or couch. And I mentioned this when we were starting, that when the bed or the couch is too tight, and I mentioned it that when the bed or the couch is too tight, you might doze off. So ensure that you avoid bed or the couch. Also, set up a table, chair. So you have to set up a table and a chair in a very nice way where your back is straight and you have a good posture. Otherwise, if you lean too much, you might feel too much comfortable. So make sure the space is very comfortable and consider your posture. So usually you need to sit straight. All right. So let's look at the physical equipment you need. The physical equipment that you might need. Physical equipment that you might need. So as I mentioned when you're starting, you need your phone. Why do you need your phone? So you need to have your phone with you just in case your colleague calls you to inquire something, or just you need it so that you can just communicate with people, communicate with your teammates through your phone, or you can just put it around you so that you can just receive emails and send text. So, and also answer calls, for instance. And you need computer. So working on multiple documents. So laptop gives you the option of working on multiple documents. For instance, if you're working on a project and so you have a team of 5 and everybody was supposed to be working on his or her portion, all you need to do, put that document live, share it with everybody, and all of you are able to work on that document collaboratively. So you don't need to work on it and then when you're done you share with somebody else and then somebody else share with somebody else and that cycle continues. No, the live document gives you the opportunity for somebody to work on his part as you also work on your part. So you are just able to work on that document collaboratively and you're also able to communicate through that document. So you can work on multiple documents. Also, computer just gives you the opportunity of just video calling and conferences. So in case now you need to ask your colleague something, you can easily video call through Meet or Skype or Microsoft Teams or Zoom, for instance. It gives you the opportunity of video calling, and then now from there now you guys are able to communicate well. And then, so most laptops, they come with webcam, but if it's a desktop, of course, you'll have to look for an external webcam, because desktop mostly they don't have the camera, so you'll have to look for an external camera for you to use. So most laptops come with webcam, but they tend so for the case of desktops, you'll have to buy, and also you need to see whether they're clear or not. And of course, you need to have a notebook. I showed you this. So wherever I'm doing anything, I have to have this notebook with me, and I usually write so many things on it just so that I can remember. So this is a notebook, and wherever I am, it has to be around me. Yeah, and of course, it helps me just to remember things. So keep notebook handy to jot down thoughts so that you don't forget, things to do, and ideas. So I'm hoping everything is okay on the chat box. Enjoy is engaging with you guys. So let's look at stable power. So when you're talking about stable power, we're basically meaning when you're using power and there is a blackout, do you have any alternative? Because we don't want a situation where power goes off, it takes you 2 hours to wait for power, or it takes you more than 2 hours just to connect to a backup generator. So the generator should be set such a way that it picks up immediately there's a blackout. So make sure your generating set is working. So that is what I've just mentioned. Put it ready, and then try solar powered devices, inverters. So if you're having a solar, so you can use a generator as a backup, or you can have a solar set. So if power goes off, you just connect your solar set, and there will be continuous supply of power. And for your phone, you need to have power banks for your devices. So if you have a phone and the phone goes off, people will not be able to reach you. Therefore, you need to have just a power bank with you, so that if the battery goes low, you connect and you continue connecting with your friends. All right. So we mentioned internet as one of the most important components that you need when you're working remotely. But sometimes it might not be stable or sufficient. So what do you do when the internet is not sufficient? So we want to look at find a sufficient internet connection, and you talk about among the most basic necessities for working in a stable internet connection, you need to choose the right internet service provider. And remember, internet are owned by government. Internet are owned by governments, and right now, the situation in Uganda is. Right now, not Uganda, but Tanzania. Sorry. And so the situation in Tanzania is they're having an elections, and the government has decided to block some sites. Guys in Tanzania are not able to post. Guys in Tanzania are not able to access social media. They're not able to even go to YouTube. They're not even able to use the Meet. They're not able to use. They're not able to use these social media sites. So that is how, when your government controls the internet, you might find yourself in such a situation. So for the guys in Tanzania right now, such as Orwa, he's not able to work remotely because he's not able to access most of the social media sites. Like right now, he cannot even communicate with me on Meet, and we cannot even talk on just using the messaging app. So that aside, you need to choose the right internet service providers. And for countries such as Kenya, we have multiple internet service providers. Safaricom, Zuku, we have Airtel, and others. In Ethiopia, we only have Ethio Telecom as the sole internet service providers. So one day, if they wake up and say, "No, we're now blocking the gateway," my friend, you'll stay without internet until they decide to switch it on. And I also love to just hear from Joy. How many internet service providers are there in Uganda? All right. Also, you need to consider a substitute. So in case you're using Safaricom and there's an issue with it, you switch to Zuku. So that is an alternative. Find the right router. If you don't find the right router, there could be a miscommunication. Like the internet might not be able to just connect through the router and then plug into Wi-Fi. So you can access through Wi-Fi, or you can use Ethernet cable just to access. You look at the one that is really stronger, but I believe that the Ethernet cable will provide you with stable Wi-Fi. Test and compare internet speeds. Test and compare internet speeds. All right. Let me ask you this then. What are the challenges of working remotely? What are the challenges of working remotely? What are the challenges of working remotely? I'd really love to know some of the challenges of working remotely. Remember at the beginning I told you about a CNN presenter that got distracted by the pet. And we also have some other examples, like you're just presenting and your kid comes, or you're just presenting and suddenly there's a loud noise at the background. So those are some of the disturbance that you can experience working from home. So I'd really love to hear from you. Really love to hear from you. What are some of the challenges that you guys are facing working remotely? Some of the challenges that you guys are facing working remotely. And of course, I can see John on the chat. I can see Pastor Nyaga also has joined us on the chat. I can see Sophonias also from the land that was never colonized. I can see guys joining in. Thank you so much, and continue to support us. So as you note down some of the challenges that you guys face remotely, let's proceed. So here are some of the challenges that you can face remotely. So there is the aspect of loneliness. You feel we're social beings, and therefore when you're working remotely, the high chances that you will feel lonely. So lonely is one of the major drawbacks of remote work, especially for extroverts. And again, also, so if you are used to the office chats, you might find working from home lonely. Like if you have an office where you have so many people, you usually laugh around, you usually talk. If you revert to remote working, you will miss that. The social aspect, you'll miss the social aspect. So however, if you think working from home affects your productivity, you can go to a restaurant or an eatery to get your work done. But right now, because of COVID, this is not possible. You'll just be stuck in your home because countries are going into lockdown again. So you just have to work at home. You don't have to. All right. So we have self-discipline. So you need dedication, self-discipline, and self-control to avoid losing momentum while working. So if your target was to work on a particular task, and you say that I was supposed to start working at this task from about 8 a.m., and you find yourself doing other things that is not related to what you're doing, you lack self-discipline. So you might waste a whole day doing some things that are not relevant to work because you're not self-disciplined. So don't convince yourself that a single YouTube video during your working hours won't do any harm. So if you are a football fan and it is Monday morning and you said to work on something and you went and looked at how maybe Arsenal was beaten, and from there now, after finishing how Arsenal was beaten or any other YouTube, the YouTube will also redirect you to how Liverpool played. After Liverpool, it will also direct you to how maybe Barcelona played. So you find that you'll spend a whole 3 hours looking and reviewing at videos. And this one is not healthy. You're lacking self-restraint and discipline. So before you know it, you will have spent hours on just watching YouTube videos. And also remote working, there is no employee benefits. So overworking, no. So overtime, no money for overtime. And then now, hard to switch off. So when you're working in your office, you're most likely conscious of closing in time. And that's not always the case when you're working remotely. And of course, there is FOMO. So working remotely could make you feel left out occasionally when you miss out on important announcements, meetings, events in the office. All right. So what are the benefits of working remotely? So we've looked at the challenges. Now we have tons and tons of benefits. And here are the benefits. So there's that flexibility. It gives you the flexibility. So sometimes the things you just need to be at home to be done. So for instance, if you stay alone and there was an issue with your tap, for instance. So if you're working from home, you're able to stay at home and the plumber will be coming to fix it. But if you're working from the office, my friend, you'll have to wait until maybe Saturday or Sunday when you're not going to work for it to be fixed. So it gives you that flexibility, which is very important. And also, it also happens with the laundry. So if you work from home, you're able to do your laundry or something like that, or somebody can deliver groceries to you and you'll be able to receive them. So that flexibility aspect is very important. And then it helps you to save money. In the sense that there's no commuting. And this one is very crucial for cities that are overcrowded. We're talking about Addis, Kampala, Dar es Salaam, and Nairobi, for instance. So if you're in Nairobi and your office is in the CBD and you stay outside in the outskirts of the city, you wake up very early in the morning so that you beat the jam. If you don't wake up early in the morning, you'll be stuck in the jam for 2 hours. So working from home will save you from that. And I think so many people will agree on me on this. And then there is time with the family. So if you're a family guy, working from home will give you ample time with your family, which you are lacking when you're working from the office. Less distraction. So this one also depends. So less distraction in the sense that there will be your kids will not come to disturb you, will not have background noise. If you're able to control that, there will be less distraction. And of course, when you're working from home, so remote employees are notably less stressed and have higher morale than their office partners. Healthier, happier employees produce better work and feel more committed to their companies. So this one is very important. That is why now we usually have leave days. So when you're working from home, you might not even need some leave days. So you realize that for some companies, when somebody has worked for a long time, for him to be productive, he or him takes some leave days. You take a 1 month or 2 weeks leave. When you come back, you feel energetic and stronger. But when you're working from home, you don't need leave days. It's not necessary for you. And then there is reduced overhead cost. So the cost of securing an office is high, especially in major cities like Nairobi, I've mentioned, Kampala, Lagos. So for many startups, paying higher rent places is like a burden. So working from home will relieve you of that burden. And then there is greater productivity. People are highly engaged. Then there is access to wider pool of talent. So by allowing employees to work remotely, employers can hire the best talent while not limiting themselves to geographical locations. So for instance, you can hire somebody from Europe and he will just work from Europe for you. You don't need him to fly all the way from Europe to Africa for him or her to work for you. So you can get the best candidate outside your locality. So long as the person is able to work remotely, you're able to coordinate well, you're good to go. All right, let me take a few minutes for the questions that you guys might have. Let me take a few minutes for the questions that you guys might have, and also just questions that you guys might have. All right, so let's proceed. So let's look at build a productive work environment as the second agenda. So the quality of your workspace is vital to productivity. So you need to designate an area, find the right chair for you, and also get like a feeling system to organize your life. It's very important. So if you can look at that guy, is the area that he has designated, and even the chair, the position of the chair, the guy is able to work as if he's in the office. So let's look at communicate the value of work. So according to research, study shows that the effect of work environment on productivity, workplace distraction cut employee productivity by 40% and increase errors by 20%. So if you're working in a place where we have so many employees, people keep talking, people keep distracting, the studies show that your productivity reduces, and in the process you're able to make a lot of errors. So how can you minimize distraction? Let others know your work hours, especially if you're working from home. Do one thing at a time. Don't try to juggle. Avoid TV and a household distraction. So if it is super sport, keep away from it. And if it is any movie channel, keep away from it. So keep away from TV or any household. Put away all pets. I told you about an incident from the CNN presenter. And take regular breaks. It's very important. Take a few minutes just to stretch, grab some water, and then come back. How can you improve productivity within the team? So if your team is working from home and you need to improve their productivity, so this is basically management. How can you manage your teams who are working remotely? Let's look at that. So project management. So remote team members need to be able to plan and collaborate on commitments. So you need to establish vision and deliverables, establish logistics for team communication, promote visibility and transparency of all work, track the quality and status of projects, identify and address the bottlenecks. So you might need to have a meeting with them over Zoom or over Meet regularly, just to ask them the progress, and then now you'll be able to track whether your employees are actually working or not. So 70% of workplace mistakes are due to poor communication. And we want to see what are some of the tools that you can use to enhance communication. And here they are. You can see Hangout is there. You can see HubSpot is there, Slack. Let me know if you guys have used Slack. Some universities usually use Gmail. So strong communication is an integral part of business success. So emails are for formal conversation, but instant chats are for faster conversation. And also you can just collaborate on, like I mentioned, you can just use a live doc and just collaborate onto it. Let's look at the importance of setting roles to communicate effectively. So, in order for communication to be effective, you need to set roles, which is you need to communicate effectively and clearly. You don't have to miss your word. It has to be clear and to the point. Think about the type of message and the text. Respond promptly if it is an email or if it is an instant chat. Set and roll the models and the guidelines. It's very crucial. So let's look at the video meeting and calls. So video meetings and calls enable teams to communicate and collaborate in real time. When you're talking about Meet, you can connect with teams that are working remotely. You can improve levels of communication and then just boost collaboration. And we have Meet, we have Zoom, Skype, we have WhatsApp call that you can use to help you for video call meetings. Google Meet. So keep your team connected with Google Meet, and of course we have the free version of Google Meet that has some limitation, and we also have the paid one. The same applies to Zoom. So keep your team connected with enterprise video conferencing built by Google. Take advantage of some of the secure by design infrastructure. So you can actually use these tools for communication. And of course, they're very secure. And so if you use them, they're like you having a normal meeting. You're able to see what the body language of somebody, you're able to see somebody clearly. So it's just the normal meeting, but it is virtually now. Let's look at Zoom. Zoom is an application that can be downloaded either on your computer or on your mobile phone. So of course we have the web version, and of course we have the app. So you can request a demo and or even download it for free. You can use Zoom to host or join a meeting, and it can hold up to 100 people for free. And of course, plus that you have to pay. There is the Microsoft Teams. Let me know in the chat box how many have used Microsoft Teams. How was the experience with it? Was it similar to Zoom or Meet? What is the difference? Was there a difference in terms of clarity or just in terms of collaboration? I would love to know. So Microsoft Teams enable business to collaborate and communicate with team members across the world. Create teams and channels to organize a department. You can utilize the chat and video call functions to boost communication. So just like Meet or Zoom, there is a chat. So sometimes in a meeting, you don't need to unmute and talk. You can just jot it down on the chat and everybody is able to see it. But for Zoom, we have the special function where you're able just to you're able to chat somebody privately. So if you want to chat somebody and you don't want other people to see what you're talking about, there is the aspect of chatting somebody privately. So share documents and collaborate with ease. That is on Microsoft Teams. All right, Skype. So Skype, just as Zoom and Meet, so immersive full video screen. You can send chats to anyone, and then of course you can blur the background. And I also noticed with Microsoft, you can also blur the background. So like you're seeing like there is a cabinet behind me. If I was using Skype or any other thing, I could use a background so that you cannot see what is here. So how to run effective meetings? So you need to set agendas, consider your tone of voice, encourage using cameras so that you can see somebody's body language. When somebody's camera is off, you might not see his body language. So you need to encourage them to just have their camera on, and also encourage them to be timely. And of course, if you're the person who has convened that call, don't leave before everybody else. Just wait for everybody else to leave before you leave. And then let's look at video conferencing etiquette. Prepare yourself like what we do. We usually take 30 minutes before the session just to prepare ourselves. Do some tests on our audio, look at our camera clarity. So that is video conferencing etiquette. So in case there is an issue, we are able to troubleshoot it in good time. Otherwise, it will be in a mess. You need to address appropriately, and I hope I'm addressed appropriately. So just guys, just let me know if I'm appropriately dressed, because that is one of the etiquette for video conferencing. Consider your lighting. Okay, my lighting is okay. You're able to see my face very well, and of course, consider your audio. I'm coming to you live and clear. You're able to see, you're able to hear what I'm saying. So that is a good thing. So it means I was well prepared for this particular video conferencing, which is a good thing. So top tips for collaborating effectively. You can equip your teams with the right tools, make project management easier, make document sharing easy and accessible. So those are the documents that they will work collaboratively. Encourage cooperation within departments. So of course, in a company, we have various departments. It could be call department, it could be training department, it could be development. You need to encourage cooperation within the department. Then prioritize company culture. All right. So let's look at the final tips for productivity. Always over-communicate. So communicate to your team regularly and keep them in the loop. And of course, you can do this through email. When you're doing email, ensure that you CC everybody that the email is intended to. Be disciplined. Remote working is not a vacation, nor a paid leave. No, you're just working from home. So it's not a vacation or a paid leave. So have your tools ready for work. That is some of the productivity tips that are there. Find your booster and use it. So use what gets you energized and ready to work when you need it. Let me take a few minutes pause for question before we go to our final agenda. Just take a few minutes pause for question before we go for our final agenda. I hope you're having a good time with Joy. And I'm still glad to see we still have Kenneth with us. We also have John is still here with us. Joshua Manza, thank you for joining us from Makweni. We really love your support. So I'm really happy, guys, that you're having a good time with Joy. And now let's look at our final agenda, which is manage and maintain your well-being. And why is it important to manage your well-being? Why is it important to manage your well-being? All right. So your health impacts it impacts your overall health. So you need to remain healthier, fitter when you're managing your well-being. And then it leads to greater productivity. It increases your resilience. Yes. It increases your resilience. And of course, it boosts your morale and levels of happiness. So, of course, as an employee, when you're healthier, when you're fitter, you're able to work well. And of course, your productivity will be very high. Very high. So, what can you do to manage your well-being? And I'm also throwing this question to John again. What have you done just to manage your well-being? Throwing it back to John. And also Sophonius, what can you do to manage your well-being? So as I'm waiting for your responses, I'll quickly go to some of them. So avoid overworking, take regular breaks. So set up reminders to take regular breaks. It's very crucial. Be clear with your teams when you are leaving so that you don't leave them hanging. Turn off notifications when on a break. Yeah, because on your live, people will still imagine that you're working because you're still live. So you need to turn off all the notifications, and it will just signal them that you're no longer working. So schedule in an activity like taking a walk, riding a bike, or going to a gym at the end of the day. So of course, going to the gym during this pandemic has been very tricky. So you might want to improvise a gym within your house. You can just run a little bit, carry some chairs if possible, or maybe carry some buckets of water just to make you fit. Or you can do yoga. So be ready for the culture shift. Huh? So this is we just want to look at how you can be ready for the culture is really shifting from office setup to remote working. So to help you embrace the shift, consider the following. Trust your overall performance. Rethink the concept of working. Understand your commitments. Be patient. So managing our overall well-being. So exercise regularly is very crucial. View mental health as a serious issue, and just plan to see a physician. Check in with your manager or team regularly. Separate your professional and personal life. Organize in-person social meeting. So if you're working remotely and you need to talk to somebody, you can organize a Skype. You can video call through Skype and you just talk about life. And in that way, you'll be socializing. You will never feel lonely. At this juncture, I'd really love to take a few minutes. Pause for questions again. Let me see what you guys are saying there. And I hope, Joy, you're having a good time with the guys on the chat box. And they've really kept you company. All right, so as the questions are coming, I really love to look at what is your next step. What is your next step after taking this session? I'd really love to see what is your next step. And of course, for me, I'd really love you to take time, go to the Grow with Google website, delve deep into what you've just discussed. We have loads and loads of content that you guys can use and read, and you'll just have a better understanding of what you've just discussed and some of our sessions that you've had. So what is your next step? I would just love to know, what is your next step? What is your next step? I'd love to know from John. Joy, I would love to know also from Sophonius, and any other person. If we still have Kenneth on the room, I'd really love to know. All right, as you're writing, what is your next step? Also, just follow us on social media. On Facebook, we are very vocal. On Twitter too, you'll find us on Twitter at Digital Skills AF, and on Instagram too. So just connect with us on this social. Just so you'll be able to know our next schedules, the context that we usually release, and just get to connect with us. And of course, I'm just reminding you that we have a link for certificate that Joy is going to share with you on the chat box. Also, we really value your feedback. We just want to hear what you feel about the session that you've just had. What are some of the areas that you want us to make adjustment? Just let us know on the chat box. Just spare a few minutes and fill the form. And also, there is a certificate form that you can fill for your certificate. And so far we have the certificate form, feedback form, and of course the links to the social media channels. And at this very great moment, I'd really say that it's been a pleasure being with you guys and seeing, I hope to see you in our upcoming schedules. We'll of course be sharing them with you. And thank you so much for your support, and ciao.